we know that the Lakers are in a transition of ownership, and that's going to take. It sounds like that's going to take some time until it's kind of like, all right, it's completely in Mark Walters and his group and their hands.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, do you know how involved new ownership is now? Is that something? Do we have kind of some clarity on that, or is that still? I guess you can call it up in the air.
So my understanding is that it's not very hands-on at the moment. And it doesn't mean that that's an intentional thing. And it doesn't mean that there isn't communication. I think I mean to say that it's been more status quo. And, maybe hands-on isn't the right terminology. My understanding, while the new ownership group is involved in terms of communicating, they have not tried to change the way the Lakers have been operating thus far. And obviously, by making sure part of the deal involves Jeannie Buss being the acting governor moving forward, and I believe The Athletic reported that they're looking at a 5-year window for that. I think ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reported it would be at least 3 years, I believe. So let's just split the difference, say a 3 to 5 year window. So long as Jeannie's in place, that we also know that means that Rob Pelinka will be in place, because Jeannie's the one who has elevated him every step of the way, from Kobe's agent to working with Magic Johnson to now being president of basketball operations and general manager. And so I don't anticipate, certainly not in the short term, I don't anticipate the way the Lakers operate changing dramatically whatsoever.
All right, that helps a little bit. It's funny because I and this is me in my own head. It's like they traded from the number 55 pick and they moved up 10 spots, and then they moved up 9 and they ended up at 36. I'm like, oh, that's new ownership. I don't know. I just like I just throw things in my own head. I'm like, oh, they're valuing a pick more, but I don't have the answer to that. I think
I will pretty clearly give that credit to Rob Pelinka, and recognizing what he wanted to accomplish on draft night. And, that money, if you don't spend that money that they did to move up in the draft, like that expires July 1st. And so it is real money, right? Of course, but every team that is managed even remotely well, and certainly the Lakers fit in that category, at the beginning of the year, they put aside that, I think it's $6 million, $5 million, whatever it is, that you can use in cash in trades. And, you already have saved it, right? So it doesn't affect your cap, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you don't use it come July 1st, you're kind of like, man, I wish I did. It's like a team having a trade exception, right? And then it expires at some point and they don't get a chance to use it. Most teams would like the chance to use it. And so, and of course, there's always an owner or two or a GM or two that would like that extra couple $1 million. If you're a GM, you're like, convince your ownership that, hey, like the value proposition here was we really liked our guy later in the draft anyway, and here's a couple $1 million. Or there's also some owners that aren't so liquid. So, but yeah, I think the current regime deserves credit for the Adu Thiero situation on draft night.
Gift card expires. I'm going to Cheesecake Factory before that thing's done, right?
Oh yeah,
come on! And we got a couple days left.
We got a couple of espresso martinis before the meal too.
Damn right. I'm loose out there. I've never been this loose at Cheesecake Factory. That's hilarious. Okay, I got basically two more. One's on LeBron. One's on Bronny. The piece that you did. Let me start first with the LeBron portion of this. What do you make of the summer? What do you make of, I just saw, I think it was yesterday, the day before, he's posting that he's basically going into the gym. It's 4 something in the morning. It's year 23. It's kind of funny. I will say this, whether people love the noise, hate the noise, whatever the case is, one thing you're never going to question with LeBron James is the dude ready? Is he going to be ready by the time basketball comes around? But just what do you make? I think there's a lot. Obviously, it was the storyline for, I'm sure, Summer League. A lot of it, you were in the mix in the middle of it during some of it as well. But as the dust settles, what did you make of that 2-week, 3-week period or so?
I think to begin with, when Rich Paul issued that statement to Shams Charania of ESPN, the goal was to just underscore how precious of a limited commodity remains of LeBron James's career, and to just remind everyone, certainly Lakers included, that this thing's not going to last forever, and my client, it's so important to him to have a chance to win because he's given every ounce of his being to this league for 22 years now, and whether it's a year left or 2 years left or whatever it may be, he wants to make sure that after all that work he's put in, whatever team he's aligned with is also putting that same amount of work to the immediate future in front of them. Now, the thing about the way that was interpreted around the league, you could go back and look at my reporting from late June on. I was always kind of surprised because to me, you had a situation with the Lakers where there is alignment. Like the Lakers aren't all of a sudden just going to be patient and sit back because they have Luka Doncic. Luka is 2 years removed from a finals appearance. Luka is 2 years removed from being known as the best great young talent in the league, who has now been supplanted by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so, like, Luka is going to bring urgency to this thing. And then beyond that, let's say, you were to move on from LeBron. And again, I don't think that's going to occur, and nor did I ever think that was going to occur. But if you were going to do that, what are you presenting to Luka as alternative to give him a better chance to win? Like, LeBron James may end up being at 41 years old, LeBron James may end up, and I'll even go as far to say probably will end up being the best teammate Luka ever plays with on the Lakers. And so you're going to move on from that? Like, no, like LeBron showed us in the playoffs what it's about when it matters still. Like, was it a perfect playoffs? Of course not, far from it. But you knew that you could rely on him every possession.
Of course.
And so when that message, of course, Rich was serving his client by putting out that message. But once it kind of landed, the league went berserk for a little bit because LeBron James, it was kind of a reminder to everyone that, like, hey, 22 years into this thing, like, he is still, he is the face of the league. We've been having this conversation about who's the next face of the league, and someday that will occur. Someday that will go to whoever it may be at that point, but that day ain't today. And so that's kind of my view of all of that. And in terms of LeBron posting his workouts this week, like, to me, that's the sign of his commitment aligned with Luka's commitment, right? It's obviously not a coincidence that the same day we see these images in Men's Health magazine of Luka looking the best he's ever looked in his life, we see LeBron at 40 years old getting up at 4:40 in the morning for a workout. Like, it reminded me, quite frankly, of the first game the Lakers played after the Luka trade when they were back in LA at Intuit Dome against the Clippers. LeBron hadn't spoken about the trade yet. By the way he approached that game, flying up and down the court, playing on both sides, playing with joy, playing engaged, he was saying everything he needed to say was, I'm on board here, and you're going to get the best version of me with Luka. And to me, he was disseminating that same message all over again through social media.
Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.